All right, let's get right to it. We're going to tackle one of the biggest questions I get asked all the time. What is the absolute, hands-down, laziest way for a beginner to start making real money online? And yeah, we're aiming for that magic number, $100 a day. But we want to do it without that soul-crushing grind that usually comes with it.
I mean, let's be real. That old model, it's broken. People are just tired. They're tired of trading their entire lives for a paycheck. What people want now is freedom, they want flexibility, and they want a way to fund their life, not just punch a clock. The goal isn't just about the money, It's about getting that money with the least amount of effort possible so you can actually go out and enjoy it.
So, this is the big question for today. And look, with my years of experience in online business, I'm going to cut through all the noise, all the hype, and really analyze the most popular methods out there. We're going to rank them and find out which one is genuinely the laziest and, frankly, the most effective as we head into 2026. So here's our game plan. First, we'll set up a framework so we know what we're judging. Then, we'll put 4 super popular methods to the test. And finally, we'll see which strategy comes out on top as the undisputed champion of lazy income. Okay, let's dive in.
Now, to do this right, we can't just wing it or go on gut feelings. We need a system. That's why I've developed a really clear framework to judge each of these methods totally objectively. This way, we find the most logical winner based on our lazy criteria.
I call it the lazy grid. It's a simple tool, but it's super effective. We're going to use it to analyze every single contender. It basically breaks down this vague idea of lazy into 5 concrete, measurable categories, so we can get a real, true side-by-side comparison. And here they are, the 5 pillars of our quest. We want a short learning curve, super easy fulfillment, really high scalability, low startup costs, and minimal risk. And that last one? That one is key. High risk means high stress, and let me tell you, stress is the ultimate enemy of a lazy lifestyle.
First up to the plate, freelancing. You know this one. It's the classic model of trading your skills for cash. We're talking things like video editing, writing copy, or managing social media. And right now, with the explosion of online content, video editing is seriously in demand. But is it lazy? Let's see what the grid says. Well, the learning curve is a pretty big hurdle. You're looking at around 6 months to really learn a skill like video editing well enough to build a professional portfolio. The actual work, the fulfillment, is hard, and scalability is limited because you're always trading your time for money. The main upsides, though, are huge, basically zero startup capital and very low financial risk.
And this quote, it just perfectly illustrates the problem with fulfillment. I remember when my son was starting out as a freelance video editor, he'd get so incredibly frustrated. He'd have clients asking for endless, tiny changes that made no sense, but he had to just smile, play nice, and do it to get paid. That's not lazy. That's just having a dozen different bosses.
Okay, let's move on to our next contender, Airbnb arbitrage. Now, the concept here is pretty clever. You sign a long-term lease on an apartment or house, furnish it, and then you sublet it for short-term stays on Airbnb. You pocket the difference. The best part is you're a middleman. You don't even have to own the real estate. So, checking the grid, the scalability is super impressive. You can just keep adding more properties. But, and it's a big but, the startup capital is a huge barrier. We're talking $5,000 to $15,000. And that, my friends, leads directly to high risk. If you have a slow month with no bookings, guess what? You're still on the hook for that rent. That is definitely high-stress territory.
And this chart really just puts it all in perspective. The financial barrier to get into Airbnb arbitrage is, it's in a different universe compared to freelancing. That much cash up front creates a ton of pressure, which makes it a really tough path for anyone who's looking for a low-stress, lazy strategy.
All right, on to method number 3, the good old eBay shop. For so many people, this is the bread and butter of making money online. You find interesting products, could be vintage clothes from thrift stores, old electronics, whatever, and you sell them on a huge established marketplace.
Okay, now this is starting to look a lot better. The learning curve is super short. We're talking maybe 2 weeks to really get the hang of it. Scalability is very high. But the fulfillment is still a medium effort. You've got to store products, you've got to pack boxes, you have to handle customer service. It's a solid option for sure, but that fulfillment work can be a real drag.
I've run my own online stores for years, and this quote is just so on the money. Sooner or later, you will deal with dishonest customers or shipping problems. At first, that stress feels personal, but eventually you learn to just accept it as the cost of doing business. It's a part of the job you can't escape, and it is definitely not lazy.
Now for our fourth contender, affiliate marketing. The model here is, well, it's beautifully simple. You earn a commission for promoting other people's products. So the key takeaway is, you don't create the product, you don't hold any inventory, and best of all, you don't deal with any customer service. This is starting to sound very lazy.
And yeah, the scores on the grid reflect that. The learning curve is maybe a day or two, just to understand how affiliate links work. Fulfillment is about as easy as it could possibly get. Once someone clicks your link, your work is literally done. It's highly scalable, especially if you use organic short-form video, and the risk is incredibly low. This is a very, very powerful low-stress contender.
So we've seen some really strong options, especially affiliate marketing. But what if we could take the best parts of all these models? You know, the ownership you get with an eBay store, combined with the totally hands-off fulfillment of affiliate marketing, and then just supercharge it with modern tech. Well, that's exactly what our final method does, and it creates something truly powerful.
What we're talking about is an AI-powered e-commerce store using a drop-shipping model. And just look at how it scores on our lazy grid. The learning curve is so low because AI tools can now build the entire store for you. Fulfillment is automated through software, so it's very easy. Scalability is basically unlimited, and the risk? It's almost zero because you never ever buy inventory up front.
And here's the concept. You start with an AI-powered store builder that helps you pick a niche and designs a professional-looking site in just a few minutes. Then you connect that to a drop-shipping automation tool. This software finds proven, winning products from suppliers and then handles all the shipping directly to the customer for you. Your only job is just to oversee the whole system.
And here is the most incredible part. Thanks to free trials for all the software you need, you can get this entire thing started with an initial investment of less than a cup of coffee. Now, yeah, there will be ongoing monthly software costs to run the business, but that initial financial barrier to entry, it's been almost completely wiped out.
So here it is, the final showdown, when you lay all the methods out side by side, and you judge them strictly by our lazy criteria, a clear winner emerges. The AI-powered dropshipping store comes out on top, just dominating the categories that matter most for a low-effort, low-stress lifestyle. By this logic, it is the smartest and, yes, the laziest way to build toward $100 a day online in 2026.
You know, the path has never been clearer or more accessible than it is right now. The technology is here, the startup cost is practically nothing, and the potential is immense. You have the blueprint. So really, the only question left is the one right there on your screen. What are you going to build with it?